Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabanso, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today, folks, we got some drama in the NBA, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Now, one of the biggest stories surrounding the NBA over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, is the decline in viewership. When the NBA season kicked off, NBA opening night, they had two marquee matchups: the Celtics versus the Knicks, defending champions, ring night, ceremony night, and then you had the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. They had some big names: Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, Jaylen Brown, of course, LeBron James. His son Bronny James is going to be making his TV debut. You had Anthony Davis there as well, and of course, you have another star that the NBA is trying to promote in Anthony Edwards. So when the NBA started that night, they got some decent ratings. But then the following day, the following night, you saw just a sharp decline. Now, funny enough, yesterday we got a report that the person that actually draws the most ratings for the NBA is actually Stephen Curry. Funny enough, he's the one that gets the most eyeballs. He has the most watch games this NBA season. So go figure. Stephen Curry's a pretty big draw. But anyway, that doesn't distract from the overall decline in the league. Excuse the noise upstairs. They're working on the roof. That doesn't really hide the overall decline. And a lot of people have been talking about it. And one of those people was Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal recently came out there and made some comments about the viewership, and he gave his kind of take on why things are deteriorating to the extent that they are. And in the midst of all of this, as all of us have been discussing this, a lot of us have been like, what does Adam Silver have to say about this? You can't tell me that he's not aware of the chatter and the murmurs out there regarding the product that he has. There's no way you can't tell me he didn't hear what former President Barack Obama said on the Young Man in the Three podcast when he told Tyrese Halliburton, like, look, your product sucks. Your all-star game is terrible. And if you guys continue like this, I'm not going to watch. You had a former president say that about you. And that is an indictment on the league and the commission. So what happened was this morning I was going to the internet looking for what to produce, and then I came across an article from Awful Announcing where it turns out Adam Silver is actually firing back at some of the critics, including Shaquille O'Neal, for some of the things that he said. But before we even get into what Adam Silver had to say, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. With only 4 months left until the end of the year, I look forward to creating special moments with family and friends by attending various theaters, shows, plays, and sporting events. And when it comes time for me to look for tickets, I absolutely love to use Game Time. Game Time is one of the most reliable marketplaces for last-minute tickets to the most popular events in sports, music, and theater in more than 60 cities across the United States and Canada. Game Time saves me money, time, and peace of mind, so I don't have to sort through thousands of tickets looking for the best prices or worry about whether or not if they're authentic or whether I'm going to receive them on time. Game Time Picks, one of my favorite Game Time tools, analyzes thousands of tickets for all of your favorite events near your location and finds you the best possible deal so you don't have to. For example, I'm looking forward to this upcoming concert at Madison Square Garden of one of my favorite composers, Hans Zimmer. Here I can select the all-in price to see the total ticket price up front, no hidden fees. And now I can sort through the best possible deals I can find. I can choose the cheapest deals, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. And if you're like me and always make plans at the last minute, you can grab tickets up to 90 minutes after the event has started. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let's get into what this article had to say here. It said, Adam Silver fires back at Shaquille O'Neal's claims the NBA is boring. Commissioner Adam Silver came to the NBA's defense in the wake of Shaquille O'Neal's claim that the league is boring. Last week, O'Neal addressed the NBA's declining viewership by blaming Stephen Curry and the growing reliance on a three-point shot from teams around the league for making the sport boring. It's down because we're looking at the same thing O'Neal said on NBA viewership. Everybody's running the same play. Stephen Curry and those guys messed it up. I don't mind Golden State back in the day shooting threes, but every team isn't a three-point shooter. So why does everybody have the same strategy? I think it's making the game boring. According to Deadline, Silver has asked about Shaq's claims this week during an appearance on at the Paley Center for Media's International Council Summit. And while everyone knew Silver wouldn't publicly shame his league by agreeing with Shaq, they may not have expected Silver to playfully shame him either. There's so much diversity in Shaq's game. I can't believe he said that, Silver joked. Obviously, Shaq, while dominant, wasn't known for having much of offensive range. You can probably count on one hand the number of times O'Neal made a shot from more than 15 feet out. I respect his opinion, Silver continued. I think we pay a lot of attention to what we see in our game. Sometimes there's more appreciation for a 12-foot jump shot than a 30-foot jump shot. When Shaq played, it was the exact opposite, with critics complaining that there's not enough variation in your game. It's all about dunking. The NBA resisted raising the rim as the league morphed into an era focused on dunking. Most likely, the NBA will similarly resist pushing the three-point line back to combat teams making the shot the focus of their offensive game plan. Today, people say it's all about the highly skilled shooter, Silver said. We've moved the three-point line back a little bit to make three-point shooting more difficult. We could do that again. I'm not saying that that's on the table. This is a good opportunity this season. And we're about to enter into 3 11 TV deals to step back and study the game a bit. Our game has never been more popular. Social media attention, and more importantly, a new TV contract that represents an increase of 160% per season compared to their current deal will support Silver's claims that the NBA is far more popular than ever. But declining TV viewership and more people complaining about the three-point shot will support Shaq's claims that the NBA is becoming boring. What are my thoughts about this? You heard Adam Silver say it. He pointed to the money. So he's like, look, we're making the money, so how can we be down? How can it suck if we're up? We just 3x'd, 1/6, we just 3x'd our deal. The former deal was for $25 billion. This new deal is for $77 billion. So he's like, how could we be down when we up? Here are my thoughts on this. The numbers in terms of the revenue doesn't have anything to do with the game itself in terms of how it's being watched. People could be watching because there's nothing else to watch. And there is no alternative. I'll give you guys an example. There was a coffee shop / bar, restaurant or whatever by my old school when I was in Rome called Setimiano, the corner. Now, this restaurant will gobble up all of the business from the students and all of that because of its location. So when you walk in there, they would hike their prices. The food, the owner was very rude and all of these different things. So if you go up to him, you're like, man, your service sucks. Your price is going up. We don't understand why. He could just turn around and say, but look at the numbers. We're making the numbers. Not realizing that he had a monopoly because of his location. That it doesn't mean that because you're making all of this money, what you're doing is great, that your service is good. Is that you're the most convenient place to go to given the proximity of this university. He wasn't viewing it that way. So in the case of the NBA, yes, you'd be making all this money, but it doesn't mean that what people are watching is great. Those two things can be true. Now, in terms of him talking about the versatility in Shaq's game, Shaq played smart. He's big. He's going to take advantage of his size. What's dumb is having 7-footers standing out at the perimeter and shooting threes and taking out your advantage out of the game. Shaq played smart. And there was more variety in the game where you had three-point specialists, you had guys that would attack in the mid-range, and then you had guys that would attack at the basket. Now it's three-point layup. Teams are attempting 34 three-point shots a game. If you put two teams together, they're attempting over 70, close to 73s a game. That's ridiculous to watch. It's obscene. It's grotesque. So look, there has to be balance. And if you have Pantheon greats complaining about it, you should adhere to some of the things that they're saying. But look, these are just my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.